Humor acts like a wrench thrown into those gates, forcing us to pause and say, wait a minute, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I can see this differently. Ever notice how when you are laughing, even at yourself, the problems that felt so big starts to shrink? That's because humor helps us detach. It's like reverse engineering the mind. Instead of being stuck in problem solving mode, humor says, let's step back, lighten up, and maybe even poke fun at our worries. And when we do that, we give ourselves space to see solutions that we might have missed when we were too caught up. Humor also has this amazing way of reminding us that we are human. We make mistakes, we have awkward moments, and we don't always have it all together. And guess what? That's okay. Laughing at those things help us stop taking ourselves so seriously. When we laugh at our mistakes, we are training our minds to accept failure as part of growth. It's like saying to ourselves, hey, it didn't go as planned, but I will bounce back. And we bounce back faster when we are not dragging around guilt or frustration. Let's talk about fear for a second. Fear is one of those emotions that can completely take over the mind. But when we laugh at what scares us, we take away its power. Think of the last time you saw a funny video that made light of something you were nervous about. Suddenly, it didn't seem so terrifying, did it? Humor turns fear on its head. It's like giving your mind a pass to chill out, letting it know that maybe things aren't as scary as they seem. And then there is connection. Ever notice how laughter is contagious? It's like a shortcut to bonding with others. When we share a joke or a funny moment, we are not just enjoying the humor, we are building bridges with people. In those moments, our minds open up. We are more relaxed, more open to new ideas, and more willing to listen. It's hard to be defensive when you are laughing together, right? Humor breaks down those walls, whether they are walls we have built around ourselves or ones we have put up between us and others. Now, does this mean we can laugh our way out of every problem? Of course not. But humor is a tool we can use to shift how we approach challenges. It helps us reverse engineer the mind by breaking down the seriousness, letting in creativity, and reminding us that flexibility is the key. A flexible mind is one that can adapt, find new ways of thinking, and ultimately find solutions that a rigid, overly serious mind would overlook. So, the next time life throws a curveball at us, instead of getting stuck in overthinking or stress, let's take a step back and find the humor in it. Laugh at the absurdity, laugh at the unpredictability, and laugh at ourselves if we need to. In doing so, we are not ignoring the challenges. We are simply rewiring our minds to see them in a new light and new perspective. The one that full of possibilities and not just problems. Because at the end of the day, a mind that can laugh is a mind that can learn, adapt, and overcome. So let's use humor as our tool to reverse engineer the way we think and watch how it transforms not just our mindset, but the way we approach life. The mind is a funny thing. The mind is a funny thing. We think we are in control. We think that we are in control, but sometimes it feels like our brain has a mind of its own. We could be sitting quietly, ready to focus, and suddenly, boom, we are thinking about what we had for breakfast or why that one embarrassing thing we did 5 years ago popped into our heads. Why does our brain do that? It's almost like it enjoys messing with us. Take this for example. Ever walk into a room and completely forget why you are there? You had a clear plan just seconds ago, but the moment you cross the threshold, your brain hits reset. Suddenly, you are standing there, last like, wait, what was I doing? You start retracing your steps like that will help, but no, that mind just decides to check out for a minute. Like it's on vacation. It's almost funny how that happens, but it shows us how easily our minds can wander. Then let's talk about overthinking. We all do it. We all do overthink. A simple situation can turn into a full-blown saga in our heads. Maybe we send a text and the person takes a little longer than usual to reply. Suddenly, our mind goes into overdrive. Did I say something wrong? Are they mad at me? Maybe they didn't like my last message. And there we are, spiraling into a drama that doesn't even exist. So this is what we think when we send a message and we don't get reply within the time we think. Meanwhile, they were probably just taking a nap or charging their phone. It's crazy how our minds can take the smallest thing and blow it up into something much bigger than it really is. Let's talk about dreams for a second. Dreams are another example of how strange the mind can be. One night, you are flying through the clouds, having a great time. The next day or the next night, you are late for an exam you haven't studied for. Or worse, you show up to work without hands. What's that about? Our minds take random pieces of our day, our thoughts and our fears, then mash them together like some sort of abstract or some sort of project. It's funny how the brain uses dreams to process emotions or thoughts we didn't even realize we had. And it doesn't always make sense. But maybe that's the beauty of it. And have you ever noticed how we often worry about things that never actually happen? Our minds love to play the what if game. We stress about things in the future, imagining the worst possible outcomes. Yet, how often does that worst case scenario really come true? It's like the mind likes to rehearse problems that don't even exist. Maybe it's trying to prepare us, but more often than not, it just causes unnecessary anxiety. The mind also loves to mess with our memories. Have you ever told a story you were absolutely sure happened a certain way, only for someone else who was there to tell you it went down completely differently? It's like, what? I swear I remember it like this. But our memories are tricky. The mind fills in gaps, changes details, and convinces us of things that might not have happened the way we think they did. It's not that we are lying, but our brains like to create narratives, and sometimes they are more fiction than fact. Funny. And then there is how our minds react to fear. Ever been completely fine and then you hear a noise in the dark? Suddenly, your mind goes into hyperdrive, imagining all possible threats. Every creak becomes a potential danger. every sound becomes a potential danger. In reality, it's probably just the wind or the house setting, but your brain is not having it. It's ready to go into survival mode. It's funny how our minds can create these wild scenarios when most of the time nothing is really happening. Despite all its quirks, the mind is incredibly powerful. It has this amazing ability to turn thoughts into action, ideas into reality, and dreams into plan. But as we have seen, it can also lead us on wild goose chases, make us laugh at how forgetful or irrational we can be, and keep us at night overthinking things that don't matter. It's funny, but it's also what makes us human. So maybe the lesson is this. Instead of trying to fight the strange and unpredictable nature of our minds, let's embrace it. Let's accept our minds and mindsets. Let's laugh at the times we overthink. Let's forget or dream of the weirdest scenarios. Because in the end, the mind is a funny thing, but it also the most powerful tool we have. And if we can find humor in its quirks, we can learn to navigate life with a little more ease, patience, and lot more laughter. Thank you.